When I first heard they were making this movie, I got pretty excited because I like everyone involved in it. Nick Pizzolatto, who wrote it, also wrote True Detective, which I thought was fantastic. Mélanie Laurent, who you might know from Inglourious Basterds, directed this. And I haven't actually seen any of her films, but I've heard she's a talented director too. And then you have Ben Foster and Elle Fanning, and I'm pretty much sold at that point. However, then I actually read the book it's based on, and didn't love it. It was fine, but I just didn't feel a simple, small story like this was really worth all that time. Now, after seeing the movie, I feel like I should have just skipped the book, because I think the story works perfectly well in a 90-minute movie. But I already knew exactly where it was going, so there were no surprises for me. That being said, I still thought it was fine, with a few highlights I'll get into in a bit. So the story is essentially about a guy who gets sent on a job. Now, things don't go according to plan, and he ends up running into this girl, and they decide that it's probably best to skip town, for various reasons I won't get into. And as I said, this is a really simple little story. There's not a whole lot to it. And just setting it up, I feel like I've already given away more than I'd like to. I mean, there is more to it. There's the girl's motivations and backstory, and the guy's reasons for doing what he does, and then there's their whole dynamic and relationship. So it's simple, and on paper not much happens. It's a pretty slow movie, especially in the middle. But there's still a surprising amount of substance to it. Now, as I said, I read the book and knew exactly where it was going. And I'm a little hazy on the details, but I feel like it followed the book pretty closely. This is definitely not a loose adaptation, or one of those based on but not really kind of things. It's very much the book in movie form, for good and bad. One example being the dialogue. It feels very novelish, because the kind of dialogue that works in novels doesn't always feel that natural in a movie. Now, I actually thought it was a bit jarring at first, but once the movie got going, I didn't really think about it, so I guess that's not a really huge complaint, more just something I noticed. But what about the highlights I mentioned? Well, there's two of them. Two action sequences. One early on and one near the end. They're both pretty short, but excellent. Really gritty and intense. And Ben Foster fit the role perfectly, and the direction was superb. Which kinda made me wish these two would have made that movie instead. A real gritty, all-out action movie. Like a legit revenge flick or something. But yeah, this is not that. But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. A little bit on the unremarkable side of things though, but I do think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I already knew where it was going. Had I not read the book, I think I would have liked it even more. Oh, there was actually one part I'd completely forgot about. The whole last sequence. And surprise surprise, I really enjoyed that. It could have easily come across as really cheesy, but I don't think it did. I thought it was actually very sweet and touching, and worked well to sort of bring the whole thing full circle. I like that. But as it stands as a whole, I don't think it's a great movie. It's decent, very toned down and subtle for the most part. Not in any way elaborate or overly complicated. So would I recommend it? Sure. I mean, if you feel like this might be your kind of movie, then it is probably worth a look. So go watch it or don't, I'm not your dad.